as we saw just one match being played here. That was, oh, it seems like we're not going to have a backup match. And Jelko Bodevis is the one moving on here. I just want to put a few words to Jelko here. He is a Dutch player, 31 years old from Utrecht, and in 2017, he had a great run at Magic. He top 8'd at Grand Prix in Amsterdam, and then top 16th Pro Tour Ixalan.
Very exciting stuff and very good accomplishments here. I'm honestly surprised that we already have our top 4 here. We are going to have Izzet Prowess versus Dimir Midrange and Izzet Prowess Mirror.
Yeah, I guess indeed Izzet Prowess is the deck to beat in this tournament, and the one player to beat it is potentially Michele Aliazzo.
Yeah, exactly. The player that we just watched here beating the main Overlords now. I feel like this Dimir Midrange was positioned as well a bit to beat the meta. I see here Mikkel's survey saying, why did you choose this deck for the weekend? I felt confident with it, and I guess it's very well balanced in this meta game. So do you think Dimir Midrange has what it takes to defeat not only 1, but 2 Prowess players?
Potentially. I mean, I am not sure at all what this deck is supposed to do, but the fact that we saw 2, very close to even 3 blue-black mid-range decks going into the top 8 here might indicate that it's actually pretty reasonably positioned into these red aggro decks.
Love to see, excited to see, first of all, what deck is going to win here. But there's one thing for sure, Simon, you know what it is? Is that one of the Izzet players will make it into the World Championship.
It's true. I guaranteed Izzet into the World Championship from the other bracket there. And whether it's going to be Ivan Lasevic from Slovenia or Luis Martin from Spain, remains to be seen. Have a lot of European countries represent. I think actually that's Croatia, right? Ivan Lasevic. Maybe. I do not recognize the country flag, but if I made a mistake, that's just because I'm dumb. Signing off from, no.
No, I mean, you're right. We had 3 Spanish players actually making the top 8, which is quite impressive. We are in Italy. There's still 1 Italian player representing here in the top 8. But going through this top 4, only 1 of the Spanish player made it. Luis Martin here representing the Spanish community. So let us know in Twitch chat and YouTube, who are you rooting for? I'm curious to know also where you are watching from. I'm sure a lot of people that watch this tournament, that played this tournament, are now watching as they finished the tournament. We had over 1,000 players. That's incredible attendance, yes. And they had to qualify to be here. So that just shows that people are eager for more paper Magic, for more tournaments, and to get into the Pro Tour.
Absolutely, these players are. Have been fighting so hard. There's so many people wanting to get onto that prestigious Pro Tour stage. And this weekend, we were giving out 36 invites to the Pro Tour. A lot of happy people, a lot of people shaking hands in the last rounds with their opponents, happy faces, making the goal of this tournament come to life. And this top 8, they are doing a lot of handshaking, they're doing a lot of happy faces, but the tournament is not done yet for Jelko Bodevis, Michele Aliazzo, Ivan Lasevic, and Luis Martin going on to the top 4.
And honestly, to me, top 4 from the top 8 is the most important one. Of course, the finals is where you get the trophy, but whoever wins this top 4 qualifies for the World Championship. And that's a huge win here for the players. Just such an important tournament to be at. You can get a Magic card made out of you, Simon, if you win the World Championship.
Made out of me?
Inspired by you.
Oh, okay. I was like, they're not going to use my skin to create the cardboard or anything like that?
No, you're safe.
Okay. Then I would like to win a World Championship, yes.
Yeah, so...
Something a lot of people are going to be interested in, that's what you're going to use to tune your deck in the upcoming weeks. So talk to me about what happened here on the second day.
Yeah, here we see Izzet Prowess being even more represented in percentages than on day 2, a little bit more. So had a really good day 1 and a 55% win rate, looking pretty. Mono-red aggro going in, and previous to Taki Dragonstorm, I would say sort of maybe the best or one of the best decks in the format. 48% win rate. you know, not atrocious or anything, but also
That's not great.
it's not great. Esper Pixie, 49%. You know, going into this event, I thought Esper Pixie is not very well positioned. 49%, not too bad. The deck is very powerful. You know, it can play, but it did not have the greatest showing. And then Jessica Oculus, the deck that received three new cards from Taki Dragonstone, 54% win rate, really good looking. Yeah, Izzet, Prowess and Jessica seem to be the decks to play in Standard right now, or at least for this event.
Yeah, also I think it sounds like they're ready to start their semifinals. So yeah, arguably the most stressful match of the weekend here, with Worlds slot on the line. If the tournament is anything like the ones of the last couple of years, those were $1 million tournaments, and with roughly 100 players, you can do the math. It is pretty good EV to qualify for that one. So both players are going to be, you know, pretty excited to battle out for the slot here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jelko is certainly no stranger to the game. He has had experience at the Pro Tour level as well, even a Pro Tour top 16. Here we'll take a look at his deck list. Pretty stock stuff, lots of 4-offs here, the core of the deck, choosing to go with 4 copies of Stock Up, no Rents Resolve, anything like that, no Half Elemental. 2 copies of Into the Floodmoor and 1 Spell Pierce round out with 21 lands in total. Yeah, this is bread and butter. Izzet Prowess. You saw this all over the place on Magic Online and Magic Arena these days. Of the tournament, I guess.
I gotta say, one card that has been putting in a lot of work this weekend is Into the Floodmaw. We have seen a lot of situations where Into the Floodmaw was able to bounce, you know, temporary lockdown or high noon, or you know, one of those situations where burn spells would not get the job done, but being able to bounce something and then, you know, go for the kill. Yeah, I like those 2 copies, but yeah, other than that, this is a pretty stock list. If you're trying to be aggressive, there is not a whole lot you can do better.
All right, shout out to good friend Jim Davis coming with the raid. Appreciate that.
Hey Jim.
Hello everybody.
Thank you for the raid.
That's
yep,
awesome.
That's the Izzet Prowess deck. We can take a look at the sideboard as well, and then we're gonna see the Dimir list on the screen as well. That, for me, that is the biggest surprise of the weekend. We had 2 or 3 copies possibly in the top 8 coming into the last round. Turns out we had 2, but there was 1 more player that finished just outside the top 8. So Dimir Midrange, that is certainly not something I had on my bingo card doing this well this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Me neither. Yeah, we're looking actually this list, not like the other list we covered earlier, does have actually a card from Taki Dragonstorm.
Yeah.
In that new upgraded Vampire Nighthawk version, Quasi Revenant. Really good card, especially against the red decks, of course. Gives you more game there. And then also a main deck Shieldred, 3 copies of Preachers in the main deck. I think the common theme that we have seen from the successful Dimir list is that they're choosing to play these black creatures in the main deck to get ahead and get onto the board against these red decks with these annoyingly difficult to kill threats. Like red decks playing Burst Lightning and whatnot. Not that great.
Look at the mana base, though. How often do you get to cast Revenant on turn 3 when you have 3 colorless lands? You have 4 islands, Gloomlake Verge, you know, produces blue, not always produces black. So, yeah, I'm a little skeptical about that, but clearly it has been working out for Michaela this weekend. Who would you favor in this matchup?
Well, I don't want to. I hate to break it to you, but I do favor the Izzet Prowess deck. Yep. We've seen already in the winning in round 14, Izzet Prowess taking down Dimir Midrange. Cory Steelcutter. That is the main annoyance. If Michele can avoid that card from hitting the battlefield, he might have a good shot, especially if he deploys those creatures, those black creatures quickly. But if not, Jelko will get the upper hand on him. Jelko also on the play, as he is the first seed going into the top 8.
How big is playing first here? Obviously, in the red mirror, playing first is huge. But this matchup is probably going to be a little bit slower than that, especially when the black removal is involved. You're probably not going to go for the, turn 3, turn 4 kills with Monstrous Rage when the blue-black player has man up. So how important is it to be on the play here?
I would say it's fairly important, yeah. Like being able to deploy your 2-drop before things like Phantom Interference or Deep Current Bat come into play to take away your counter or something like that. It's fairly important to be on the play still. It's quite the advantage. There we go. Spire Bluff Canal, Monastery Swift Spear, First Blood down to 19.
Back to Michele. And let's see what he has to start down the game. He does have a cut down, but does he have a black source on tap that can produce the mana necessary to cast the cut down? Lots of things to consider. If he has something like a Spell Pierce, he might want to start on an island, possibly hold mana up to try to counter a Steel Cutter. He does go with a Spyglass Siren. He did have a Swamp available as well.
Yeah, he had Swamp cut down, I think. So
interesting.
He was certainly, yeah, I was also surprised to see that. I would normally just kill the Swift Spear there, but maybe he has a plan.
Prioritizes building up his board first, takes one from the Swift Spear, and does Yelko have the Steel Cutter? No, he's going to plot a Slick Shot here, and yeah, we've seen this so many times this weekend. Like you mentioned, against the blue-black deck, you don't really want to get in for one, have them untap and play a Doomblade type of card. If you plot it next turn, that works really well with the Steel Cutter. You can already get a free token, or you can protect the Slick Shot with something like a Spell Pierce. Map token gets cracked. That's an extra land for Michele, who attacks for 1. And passes the turn with a cut down up. That could be dangerous, though.
Yeah, I mean, his hand isn't looking great. He has like a Kaito, I think. He has a lot of land, so maybe he's trying to get the most out of that cut down.
Wow, Swift Spear, Slick Shot from the plot zone.
Oh, just take 3.
And attack for 3, yeah.
Okay. Yelko's draw, not too impressive so far.
And I'm curious to see if he's going to play the cut down at the end of turn after taking the damage to make sure that he doesn't get completely blown out by something like a Monstrous Rage. Well played by Michele there.
I do wonder, though, if he wanted to just keep that in hand, to be honest. Because he doesn't seem to have a removal to follow it up with. Oh, he just drew a go for the float. Okay, fair enough. Oh, he has a Quasi-Revenant. That's awesome here, potentially. Lines up very well against Burst Lightning. And very well against the Slick Shot.
Yeah, so let's see if the new addition from Tarkir Dragonstorm pays off. This is certainly one of those matchups that it should shine in. And Revenant hits the battlefield. So this is a 3/3 Lifelink, Death Touch, and Flying.
Ooh, big draw here. Sleight of hand. Can we chain some spells?
Yeah, we're certainly gonna get a couple of Prowess triggers. Land number 4, Storm Chaser's Talent. I think that's into the Flood Maw.
I think you're correct.
This might just almost be lethal.
I mean, he does have the blocker, but
he does have a blocker, right?
The Slick Shot has trample, so the Swift Spears are +3/+3. The Slick Shot is +6/+0. So it's an attack for 8, 17, 18, 14? 14 damage. No, 16 damage. Actually, it's lethal.
Yeah, I think.
Does have to jump block.
I think Michele has to block one of the Swift Spheres, right?
Yeah, and then he still takes 8 plus 4, so 12.
Yeah, that doesn't put him in a great position, but at the same time, he knows he's going to be able to untap and play a 3/3 lifelinker. So Yelko's still going to need to follow up with a spell, but yeah, let's see. So Siren takes 1 for the team, and that puts Michele to 3 life. Any spell is going to be lethal next turn.
Yeah, but if Yelko draws a land, an untapped land,
then that's really awkward.
Return the Floodmaw. But yeah, I mean, I think Michele is not really...
Oh, you're right. There is still the Storm Chaser style is a little bit off of the to the top of the battlefield there under the top 4 sign. All right. Well then, yeah.
I mean, there's a couple. There's a few draws that are not quite good enough, but he's playing the Underground River untapped instead of the Restless Reef just to bluff. He doesn't have anything.
Yelko draws and surveys the situation. So yeah, this is an interesting spot. I kind of like playing that Underground River here because if you're Yelko, that really is going to put you into the tank. Are you going to risk it all? You know, what if your opponent does have the cut down? What if they do have that, you know, one way of interacting with you? That said, I mean, him being down to 1 card with Michela with a full hand, you might be in a spot where you could just say, all right, I'm going to make you have it. If you don't have it, I'm going to win the game on the spot. I think he drew a Monster's Rage.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a Monster's Rage.
Okay, that's really interesting, actually.
And he decides to go for it. So attack with everything.
I mean, we know this is lethal, of course, but for Yelko, he could think about what happens if his opponent has...
Wow, yeah, Monster's Rage targeting the Prowess token, and Yelko takes down game number 1 in about 3 minutes. That was pretty quick.
The turn 5 kill.
Let's take a look at the sideboards here.
Yeah. Yelko has at least one way to kill a Preacher and a or Shieldred, which is that Witchstalker Frenzy. Would like to have another one, I assume, but he didn't assume to run much into Dimir, I would guess. Besides that, not much else, not much else. You can bring in some of these torches, they're quite good against Curiosity to exile that one for good. The Nemesis is okay as it attacks into Preacher, but it is more for the red matchups as a ground blocker there. So yeah, he's not really... he could bring in the Sunspan Links, but that seems also not great. Well, looking at his main deck, you know, he's probably just going to keep in those into the Floodmoors here because he needs some answers for those 3 drops, for those 4 drops. So he's probably just going to swap maybe a Spell Pierce and maybe 1 or 2 Swift Spears or 1 Monster's Rage for some Torch the Towers.
Okay.
On the other side, there's definitely more change happening. 2 copies of Tidebinder. They're absolutely reasonable here. They do counter the Cutter. They turn any Prowess creature into a vanilla creature. Shieldred Apocalypse is certainly going to come in. As well as that cut down, the Anointed Affliction, I wouldn't be surprised to see. 2 copies of the Rest and Intimidation Tactics at the bottom here are also going to be coming in to take the Cutter and some of the creatures with the Tactics. And we've seen Gix's Command in the past, brought in by Dimir. Might be good, you know, the Prowess creatures usually, the spells are all being cast in, you know, their turn of the Prowess player. So when they pass the turn, they usually tap low, and all of the Prowess creatures are 1/1s, right? So, or 2/2s if they equip with a Cutter. So Gix's Command could clean house.
Would you say the matchup changes after sideboard? Like the blue-red deck not having a lot of stuff to bring in, does it mean that it's already so well equipped in the main deck that doesn't really need to change much?
Yeah, I mean, for one, Yelko probably just didn't expect this matchup much because it really is not supposedly a player in the format right now. It's more like a tier 2, tier 2.5 type deck.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I guess maybe we went too far the other way, huh? Disrespecting it too much these days. Yeah, so of course I would say that Michele is gonna improve this matchup a lot more, bringing a lot more cards. But yeah, he's down a game, and he has to face Yelko, who has only lost once in this entire tournament. On the draw in game 3, even if he wins game 2, so that is very, very scary. I feel like the way Yelko played there, he played really crisp. Again, he has a Proto top 16 under his name.
Okay.
Nothing to scoff at, a GP top 8 as well.
Yep.
So he knows how to play the stack. Actually, in his bio, he's saying Curry Steel Cutter is a modern power level card in a standard deck, and that was his best card for the weekend.
I do wonder what it's going to look like in Modern. Like, do you feel like there's a deck that's just going to fully take advantage of Steel Cutter right away? You know, something similar to the standard list?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Mishra's Bauble, Lava Dart is incredible.
Oh yeah, the 0 mana cards, right? Okay.
Yeah, Mutagenic Growth. We're seeing the same kind of deck with like Dragon Rage Chandler, Expressive Iteration. a classic and slick shot actually being played in Magic Online modern challenges to I think success. Although I have to say I haven't been keeping up with modern all that much.
What's the next Pro Tour's format? The next one is Final Fantasy. That one's standard, right?
That one will be standard shortly after the release of Final Fantasy, so pretty exciting what that set will bring to the table for standard.
But the format these players are qualifying for is modern. The Pro Tour in Atlanta, it's going to be the Edge of Eternity's Pro Tour, and that one's going to be modern. So yeah, we can almost start the discussion now what the format's going to look like. I also wonder what Final Fantasy is going to bring into the mix, because those sets typically they used to be printed into modern or into even legacy. So now having them in standard, that's going to make standard in a really big format, right? I'm used to standard being this smaller format, not as overwhelming. There's typically only a handful of decks that you can count really as tier 1. Modern, on the other hand, could be very overwhelming. There's so many different decks, and I'm certainly excited to see what Final Fantasy does with standard.
Yeah. Looking at Mikile's filled out player profile here. Why did he choose Dimir Midrange for this weekend? He answered with, I feel confident with it, and I guess it's very balanced in this metagame. That's what a Junt player would say. Classic midrange. You know, 51% against everybody, you know, that type of thing. I feel good about it. And what was his best card and why? Enduring Curiosity. Because it's insane to slam it. God, I can't read this. It's doing... Oh man, I can't read this.
I mean, the deck doesn't really function without these card draw engines, right? Enduring Curiosity, Kaito, without those, if you just play 25, 26 lands and a bunch of 1-for-1 cards that go for the throw then cut down, you would be too prone to flooding out and you know.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't work.
It's the perfect card, especially in a metagame where there's not much exiling removal.
Looks like both players are finishing with their mulligan decisions. And at least one of them is going to keep 7. Quick reminder, this is the semifinals. We're playing for a slot at the World Championship later this year. Not in Vegas, in Seattle. But still, if it is anything like the previous ones in the last couple of years, that would be $1 million tournament. It doesn't really get bigger than that in Magic. That is the pinnacle of organized play, and there is no bigger tournament you can make it into than $1 million Worlds.
How many World Championships have you participated in?
So quite a bit, but back in the days, those were the Worlds Championship that I liked the most, and those were tied, connected to nationals. So you would play your own nationals, and the top 4 players they would qualify for Worlds, and the top 3 players, they would make the national team. And then the first 3 days of Worlds, you would play as a single player. You would just play for yourself. But all the points between you and the other 2 national team members, they would count together into a point total for the national team. And then on day 4, there was a Rochester draft, where you played together as a team, you team drafted, the camaraderie, you know, preparing together, playing against other countries. That was always fun. I really enjoyed those. I do miss nationals.
Yeah.
Plus also the World Magic Cups. Those were also very fun to watch or play in. But looks like game number 2 is underway. Michele starts on a Darslick Shores pass, and Jelko is the first one on the board with a Sleight of Hand.
Did I see that correctly? He chose to play Sleight of Hand instead of Storm Chaser's talent? I presume he was just playing around cut down there, wanting not...
Maybe Spell Pierce?
Yeah, maybe Spell Pierce.
Mm-hmm. Turn 2, Corey Steelcutter. Do you have the Spell Pierce, or is this going to resolve? That is not an easy card.
Wow.
Or blue-black to get rid of.
Wow.
And Michele does not have an answer.
Jelko just slamming it there, like the map was not cracked. Jelko just, I don't believe it. I'm not buying it, what you're selling me here.
Michele either went for the bluff or had a cut down ready for a possible slick shot.
That is a Preacher of the Schism. I haven't seen that promo before either. So don't worry. Oh
my God! Are we gonna? Okay. Are we?
At least no attacks. The Preacher is withholding here, but this is dangerous,
so,
to say the least.
Looking at this curve, what Jelka was probably trying to do, he was trying to find the third land, I think, with the sleight of hand. So he can go turn 2 Steel Cutter, turn 3 Steel Cutter, and the second spell to also make two free tokens.
And now he's thinking about sacrificing a creature for some damage. Oh, really? He's just going to deal 2 damage here. Okay. For 1 monk. That seems...
Yeah, that seems aggressive.
Yeah.
That is very aggressive.
That is certainly aggressive.
But hey, that's what this deck does, right? You want to be aggressive. Maybe he has such a strong next turn that he figures this game is going to be over in no time. Let's see if Michele has a good follow-up. Something like a Quasi-Revenant, perhaps a Shieldred would be pretty nice to add on his side of the battlefield.
Yeah, he wants to essentially get lifelink going in the form of Quasi-Revenant or Shieldred.
Preacher gets in there, makes himself a Vampire token for free.
I guess another point in favor of attacking there is that the Preacher doesn't draw a card. It's a minor thing.
Yeah.
It definitely is a thing. On the other hand, you could also argue that the 2 monks could actually double block the Preacher.
Sure.
But, all right, what do we have here? I think I see a stock up, but stock up a little awkward on turn 3 specifically because you can't. That is a double spell. Like I think he doesn't have an untapped land, so he needs to find a land and a spell to get two creatures here. Looks like he did though. There's a Shivan Reef and at least a Burst Lightning going into the Floodmaw here again.
Wow, that's awesome. That is the perfect card here to answer the Quasi-Revenant. Something like Torch the Tower would also be helpful. And he's looking at a Monster's Rage. There is a Slick Shot as well. Yeah, I think we might be looking at a pretty big attack next turn.
Well, why not this turn? Play Shivan Reef. Go Monsters or go into the Floodmaw and quasi attack for what?
A bunch, yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a third Steel Cutter as well that he is looking at. So many options. Takes 2 cards, puts 3 cards on the bottom. Does he have the land? Okay, so he picked up a land and the Floodmaw, exactly like you said. Bounces the Revenant. Takes 1 point of damage. Gets himself 2 extra monks. And now let's see, are we gonna send that in? Yeah, 2 of those were in play already. 2 of those got equipped to the 2 Steel Cutters, and he is gonna send everything in. So 2 spells were played.
Just 10 damage coming across. Have you ever heard about a snowball system? Snowball?
Yeah, that's a
analogy.
Yep, yeah. This Quarry Steel Cutter card is a pretty good example of snowballing in Magic.
Turns out if you put Urabas Forge and Monastery Mentor together into 1 card and make it cost 2 mana, it turns out to be a good card.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I am excited to see what Modern looks like with Steel Cutter.
Yeah. Mishra's Bubble turn 2 with Steel Cutter. Let's go.
So Michele has a lot of decisions here. Does he want to trade for one of the tokens? That doesn't sound too appealing. Does he want to just chump one of the 3 power attackers? Looks like that's what he's going to do. So he's going to take, what, 7?
Yeah. Go to 11 here.
Or 7, right. So he goes to 11. They're double checking to make sure the math is right. And back to Michele, who still has a Preacher and that life-linking Vampire. Oh, wow. Did you see what? Is that a Gixis command?
Oh, no. Are you kidding me?
That really? Is a Gixis. I don't think he has a 5th land.
Oh, does he not?
I don't think he has a 5th land, but that is a Gixis command. That is one of the best possible cards.
Ah, but he's attacking first. So he has to be patient 1 more turn?
Yeah.
Or rather...
survive 1 more turn. Exactly. Yeah, that might not be so easy. Quasi-Revenant.
Oh my god.
Wow, no
he has a cut down open. He decides to not play it. Oh, that might be a little risky.
Wow, Opt was a great draw here.
Opt, Monster's Rage, Slick Shot, so he can triple spell this turn, has 2 prowess enabling spells, playing the Slick Shot first.
Oh my god, are you kidding me? This is why this deck is so good. You get to do so many things every turn, double and triple spell every turn, while getting free value from the Steel Cutters. So Slick Shot is the play, followed by Opt, and we're gonna get a bunch of prowess triggers. And Jelko is asking, do you have any response? Michele says no.
Yeah, he's holding that cut down, but he stopped Jelko right here, right? So and Jelko is now, okay, what's going on here? Do you have a Spell Pierce for my Opt? Do you have a cut down? What's going on? But Michele deciding he wants to slow roll this cut down even further, which I think is definitely good on him to do here because of that Monster's Rage. Just straight up counter the cut down.
Yeah. I think you would love for your opponent to use a Spell Pierce on your Opt here, because that would mean that your Monster's Rage would then resolve into a no untap mana. So yeah, looks like that Opt is going to resolve all the triggers as well.
All right.
What is the draw? I think there was another Storm Chaser's talent. So let's see if Jelko wants to go all in here, just attack with everything and try to win the game with the Monster's Rage. I mean, it is certainly very appealing.
Yeah. Well, those monks in the corner there. Okay, he's going for the talent. Those 4 creatures down there are already free. So if you would play Rage on them, they would be protected actually. Okay, he's going for a cut down there, which kills the Slick Shot before it becomes a 5/2, of course.
Okay, and wow, Jelko's gonna send it.
An attack for 22 damage, no big deal.
Is this lethal?
22 damage.
How much can we prevent? So you block one of the 4 forests and you gain yourself 3 life, right? You're gonna go to 15. Oh, 4 life actually. Both of the creatures have lifelink. So you're going to go to 16 and you're going to prevent how many?
You can prevent 8 damage here by blocking the 2 4/4s. And then you take... Yeah, he could have prevented 1 more damage. The Revenant does have Death Touch. This would kill 4/4 regardless. But yeah, now he's going down to 4 life. Staring down 5 prowess 1/1s.
Pretty good turn for Jelko. Remember, there's also 2 Storm Chasers talents on the battlefield, so he gets to activate those in the upcoming turn as well to bring something back from the graveyard, like an Opt. And there's still that Monster's Rage in his hand.
Yep, and there's also still 2 talents to get back spells with, so he has grind potential. But we know about this Gix's command, but it doesn't look like Michele has drawn that 5th land. Otherwise, I think he would have had a pretty easy choice here. It looks like he drew another Curiosity. Gonna crack a map.
We kept watching all the spicy decks, our pair at least. We kept watching a lot of blue-white artifacts. We had a lot of non-red decks in the feature match area when we were on the air.
Yeah.
But now watching this Izzet Prowess deck in action, this is certainly the most powerful stuff I've seen this weekend any of these decks do.
Yep, I give you that. But I do want to note that if the deck does not draw Cory Steelcutter, it is a lot fairer. It's just play Prowess creatures, we can hit for a bit, but like a couple of removal spells and you can deal with them. But here, the problem for the Dimir opponent is that, the Cory Steelcutter produces more and more monks, and cut downs, go for the throats, annoyance.
Plus
very good.
Plus the Izzet deck gets to play Opt and Slate of Hand, right? So you are pretty good at finding the Steelcutter, even if it is not in your opening hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this deck looks really strong. And you get to play so many cards every turn.
Just realizing so much live right now. Oh my god, this is a Prowess deck. Okay, Michele passing Flood Pit's Drowner here. Jelko also down to 9, by the way. If he's running out of... Oh, he drew a Burst Lightning. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, sometimes you just got it all. So Burst Lightning, kill the Vampire, a bunch of Prowess triggers.
Gonna cast the Monster's Rage here.
Yeah, Monster's Rage pre-combat to make 2 extra tokens with Steelcutter. Looks like it's not going to matter. Congratulations to Jelko Prowess for picking up an invite for the World Championship later this year. Congratulations. That's going to be an awesome experience, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be stoked about that.